Hey everybody, it's Casey here at Sea Run Fly and Tackle. Today I'm going to show you how to tie the Squishenille egg-sucking leech. Alright, so to tie this pattern, I've taken a Maruto M30 Salmon and Steelhead hook in the size 1/0. And to that, I'm going to add some .015 lead to the shank to help sink this a little bit. About 15 to 20 wraps is usually plenty. You can use a little bit thicker lead wire if you like. Just with the body material that I'm using on this one, it is a little bit on the bulkier side. And so by putting in a thicker lead underneath, it's just going to make it get a little even fatter, essentially. So we'll try and minimize that a little bit by using a little bit thinner wire. Now that I've got my lead wire on there for tying thread, I'm going to use UTC Ultra Thread 140 denier in the color purple. But by all means, match the color of the thread to the color of the pattern that you're tying. I mean, purple's a great color. Black and blue, pink, orange. Let your imagination run wild with this one, and by all means, don't have to leave it as a solid color. You can mix and match as well too, and find out what works for you out on the water. So from there, we're going to take some Fish Hunter Marabou in the color purple. I've selected 2 pieces here just because the first one that I pulled out of the pack was a little wispy and I wanted to make sure that I had a nice full tail, so I grabbed a second one. I've just stripped the short fluffy stuff off the bottom here to make it a little bit easier for tying in. And all we're going to do is just line up the tips so that they're equal. Well, I want to get rid of a little bit more. That's going to be too short to make it to the tail. Just reduces the bulk a little bit. These tips still look nice. So we're going to grab that and we're going to go about a hook shank length for the length of the tail here. Sorry, bring that back a little bit further. Couple of wraps, secure that down nice and tight. Trim off the butts and wrap that down. And I just trim that so that it kind of cuts off at that lead wire there, trying to keep a uniform body if at all possible. Or uniform body thickness. Now we're going to add a little bit of flash into the tail, a little bit of sparkle just to help grab those fish's attention. I like to mix colors. I'm going to use some Hareline Krystal Flash in UV purple and just in regular pearl. So I've got a strand of each that I'm just going to double up. And that'll essentially give us 2 strands of each color down both sides of the tail. Tie it in on that side, grab the remainder, and tie it in so it flanks the opposite side of the tail as well. And we want to trim those flush with the tips of the Marabou. And that little bit of sparkle just helps really grab the fish's attention. The next bit that I'm going to tie in is just going to be some UTC Ultra Wire, size small in the color Fuchsia. Next will be a Nature Spirit Fish Hunter Schlappen in Steelhead purple. And that I'm just going to tie in by the tip. So you can see on the feather, the tip, the fibers, or the barbules are shorter and they get longer as we get down the feather. So that's going to create a natural taper. It's going to start short and it's going to get longer as we move forward. So we'll pull this back and just tie in that tip of that feather there. Get that secured in place. And for our body, I'm going to take some Hareline Flexi Squishenille The size medium, the color UV purple. So this is a chenille-like material. It's got some rubber in it, some flash and stuff, and it's just a really, really cool looking material. It's got a cool feel to it. I really like the color that this is offered in, and it's going to give this fly a fairly big profile. I like patterns that show up when I'm steelhead fishing. I like a big fly. I always say I don't worry about scaring a little one. I want the big one that wants to kill this thing. So I've got that tied in. I exposed the core a little bit just to give me a clean tie-in point. I'm going to bring my thread and stop it at about where my lead wire wraps finished there, kind of where the loop on this hook meets the shank, so you can see that to make that loop, that wire bends around, comes back at a taper, and that's sort of where I'm going to stop my body. So we're going to palmer this material. Tie that off, nice and secure. And we're going to trim the remainder. The next step, we're going to take that schlappen and we're just going to palmer or wind that forward. I like to stroke those fibers back as I go. It just prevents them from getting wrapped underneath the stem of the fiber, allowing for the maximum amount of movement in this fly, keeping those barbules from getting crushed. And that thing will really breathe and move in the water. Pull some of them back so that I got a tie-off point. Tie off our schlappen here. And then lastly, for this body, we're going to take that fuchsia wire and we're just going to counter rib, wiggling our way through. And all this wire does is just is basically stop that hackle from unraveling. So if you hook a big steelhead and it's got its teeth or something, cut the stem of that schlappen feather, this fly doesn't unravel on you, and you can hopefully get a few fish out of it before it's time to retire it. If you're going to spend the time to tie a fly, might as well spend a few extra seconds to make it durable so that it lasts. Helicopter off that piece of wire. Now for the egg at the front of the fly, I'm going to take some McAgate by the Alchemist Tying Range in Raspberry Ripple. And you can use dubbing or chenille or whatever you like to make an egg on the front. I think this is a really, really cool looking material. And the front of it comes in a bunch of different sort of eggy colors, and I just like how this color combination works. So I exposed the core to tie in, and we're just going to wrap an egg at the front, again just stroking that material back as we wrap. 2, 3, 4 wraps there, and those I've stacked quite tight against each other. I don't want to have a big massive egg at the front. Something nice and dense and compact. Tie and trim that off. Create a thread head at the front. And from here, we'll whip finish this. So now you're thinking, all right, Casey, you just tied a woolly bugger. And essentially I did. But this will be a very effective steelhead pattern that anybody can tie. It's got a lot of movement to it. It's got a big profile. It's going to show up in the water. And it's something that is going to grab those fish's attention. I wanted to do something that anybody can tie. We're coming into steelhead season. I guess steelhead season is underway now, and just wanted to do something that was a good introduction pattern or introductory pattern for people that are just kind of getting into it, but also something that would be very effective for you seasoned steelhead anglers as well, just looking to fill up some space in the box. So like I said, tie this in a variety of different colors, black and orange, black and pink, black and blue, purple and pink. You know, let your imagination run wild, whatever color combination that you like. The most important thing is that you got confidence in that color combination. If you're confident in what you're fishing, chances are you're going to be that much more successful on the water. Hope you guys like this fly. Hope you find this video useful. Like always, you know where to find us. If you've got any questions or anything like that, if you want to purchase any of the materials, we'll have everything linked in the description. You can purchase them online, www.c-run.com, or come by the shop. We can talk fishing, talk steelhead flies, and we can get you all sorted out. Thanks for watching, everybody.